of course, usaping impeachment. In the hypothetical na, kunyari, makonvict man si Vice President Sara Duterte, kasi nakasaad po sa Constitution na ang pipili po, the President can choose within the members of the House of Representatives or the Senate ng magiging kapalit niya na Vice President. Kayo po, in your opinion, do you think po ba Congressman Martin Romualdez can be a best Vice President for BBM?
Alam niyo, mahirap mag-comment sa bagay na wala pa eh. Impeach muna natin, tapos sasagutin ko yan pagkatapos.
May mga nag-call out na rin po sa impeachment court na saying nag-aabogado po ang impeachment court para kay VP Sara Duterte. Your comment on that and mensahe po sa kanila.
Well, yun nga ho ang iniiwasan natin kasi nagmumukhang nag-aabogado.
With the actuation of the Senate as impeachment court, na parang nag-aabogado sila sa kay VP Sara, and the prosecution, and kumbaga, umaasa pa rin tayo na ibabatay nila doon sa bigat ng ebidensya ang magiging hatol nila as senator judges. Pero with that actuation, hindi ba nangangamba ang House, particularly the prosecution panel, na wala silang aasahan na dadaan sa because this is a political political proceedings, not purely criminal proceedings.
Representative Chel Jokno warned that the Senate Impeachment Court's second requirement for the House of Representatives may be a trap as it may violate the one-year ban in the Constitution.
Well, I don't want to preempt, ayokong pahunahan ng impeachment team, kaya po mayroon tayong spokesman for the impeachment to provide the official reaction to anything, to matters related to the impeachment. Pero ako, isusuma ko lang po sa tatlong punto. Una, na-impeach na po yung pangalawang Pangulo. I don't know where in the Constitution it allows any change or any change in the scenario or in the situation other than by the Senate deciding and trying and deciding to try and to decide on the case of impeachment at hand. All things other than that have to be studied carefully, no? Pero nothing can change the fact that the Vice President has been impeached. Yun yung una. Pangalawa, ay yung usapin naman kung ano ang magiging hakbang ng 20th Congress, yan po ay nadedepende po sa 20th Congress. And we have yet to meet on the 28th for our first regular session. And I think by then we'll have a better appreciation of what the next steps are. Kasi for example, the Speaker naman, no, he has been supported daw by an overwhelming majority of members of Congress. And many of them were part of those who endorsed the impeachment against the Vice President. And I think it's their re-election, yung re-elect ang napakaraming kongresista na sumuporta sa impeachment proceedings, sa pag-impeach kay Vice President. And nagpapakita lang na we do not expect any change in the position of the House. But nonetheless, the Speaker being, as he has shown in the previous Congress, has shown himself to be a consensus builder. And I know he'll go through the process of really consulting the House, the party leaders, kung ano ang magiging hakbang. And I think it would be best to wait for that process to go on. No? But on a personal level, ako personally, ang paninindigan natin tungkol sa impeachment, ito po'y usapin ng accountability. And I don't think any election, any change in the political circumstance would warrant a change also in our faith in the need for accountability. Kasi isa lang naman ang magiging pamamaraan para matugunan natin ang panawagan for accountability. Magkaroon ng trial. And I think, and I personally would like to think that that is still the best way to go to resolve this impasse, so to speak.
Sir, if the Speaker will ask members of the 20th Congress kung pagbobotohan ba ito or hindi, ano pong magiging sagot nyo? And kung pagbobotohan, would you still want to pursue the impeachment?
Without preempting the decision of the 20th Congress, as I mentioned, my commitment to accountability remains strong. The case on the impeachment is a test of accountability, is a test on our political institutions, and the best way to move forward in my mind is ituloy natin ang proseso. At hayaan ho natin ang Senado at gampanan ho ng ating mga kaibigan sa Senado ang kanilang tungkulin na dinggin at maghusga sa impeachment case na sinubmit ng House of Representatives.
Sir, last na po, is there a need to comply with the second requirement?
Well, that is a question I will leave to the prosecutorial panel to address, no, because it would be something that's related not to the consideration of the prosecutorial team, but to if you ask me, no, personally, we have already we have done the impeachment. We have complied with our duty as in the 19th Congress, and I am of the opinion that that should be the starting point, rather than having to negate any of what we've done in the 19th Congress.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Tina. We will now take questions from Bibian Gulia of ABS-CBN2.
Good afternoon, sir. Meron pong mga nagsasabi na imposible na raw na pagbotohan pa itong resolution sa Kamara na hinihingi, yung sa certification na hinihingi ng Senate, yung second requirement. Will that be accurate? Ano pong tingin ninyo dito? Or at this point, pwede pa rin po ba?
Even sa totoo lang, it's difficult for me to assume anything, no, until Congress has properly been convened, and then we would have to discuss. Of course, as always said, this is the 20th Congress we're talking about, and there might be, let's say, some processes that we have to undertake. But then again, my opinion is, my personal opinion is, anything we've done in the 19th cannot also be negated by the 20th. Kasi the fact of the matter remains that the Vice President has been impeached. And ang worry ko lang, sa totoo lang, no, with the proceeding as it is sana hindi naman malunod sa technicality ang ating kagustuhang mabigyan linaw ang pananagutan sa pangalawang pinakamataas na lingkod bayan ng ating bansa.
Your comment din, sir, may another senator na nagsabi yesterday na kung erase ng kampo ni Vice President Duterte before the impeachment court, yung mga arguments nila for the dismissal of the complaint ay pwede itong pagbotohan ng Senado, Senate Impeachment Court.
Well, the Senate will operate according to the rules, according to the impeachment rules that they presented. We just hope that everything will be done in the spirit of fairness and integrity, no, the integrity of the process, and also we're all katatapos lang ho namin manumpa lahat to uphold, to support the Constitution of the Philippines.
Thank you, Bibian. Milky Regognan from DCRH, now recognized.
Good afternoon, Congressman Isidre.
Yes, ma'am.
Will you support yung call for Congress na mas unahin daw po yung mas mahalagang panukalang batas ngayong 20th Congress? Number one, the repeal of the oil deregulation law and the legislated wage hike. Kasi ang sabi, kumilos nga daw ang Kamara pero last minute, yun ang puna ng Senado. Your thoughts on this?
Well, it would be very unfair to really consider, no, na sasabihin natin na tinagalan ng House. Kung makikita nyo yung version po natin sa Legislated Wage Act, kung saan isa tayo sa mga pangunahing may akda, nagpapakita ng stronger commitment ng mga members ng House na posible ang 200 legislated wage increase. So I think it would be unfair to say na kasi inupuan o pinatagal ng House, in the end, tayo po ang nakapag-justify ng mas mataas na legislated wage hike, which only warrants and also justifies the delay as may be perceived, no, the longer time required for us to be able to arrive at a decision. A decision that, of course, was carefully studied by the proponents of the legislated wage hike in the House. So in the 20th Congress, I also expect the same amount of diligence. Hindi, may mga bagay kasi na pwedeng madaliin. May mga bagay din na it would take time for us to build consensus. And we know naman sa usapin ng legislated wage hikes, sa usapin ng deregulation, ng oil deregulation, nandun pa rin ang pangangailangan natin magkaroon ng consensus. And it does not in any way, yung pagkagustuhan na magkaroon ng consensus, mean that we will not give our best to ensure its passage. But nonetheless, at least ngayon, no, part of the work, a significant part of the work of the research, of the debates have already been made at the 19th Congress. And so we expect also that this time around, we will be able to push for these bills more efficiently.
Kong Isidre, pero pwede ba kang mabigyan kami as early as now any scenario on the morning of July 28? Magiging busy ba ang House reporters sa mga ganap?
Well,
o meron pa po bang maghahamon?
Sa totoo lang ho, regarding ho saan po? Sa leadership ng
leadership.
House. Sa totoo, hindi ko na ho nga naisip yung tungkol sa speakership. The speaker right now has 283 members of the 20th Congress who have expressed in writing their support for the speaker. I don't think this is anymore a question that needs to be resolved. That question has been the issue on the speakership has already been resolved many weeks ago. And I think our support for Congressman Martin Romualdez to be the next Speaker of the House remains strong as ever.
Salamat, Kong.
Thank you po.
Thank you, Milky. Your turn, Rosalie Cos from UNTV.
Hi, Kong. Earlier po, you mentioned na sa konstitusyon, after magawa ng House yung responsibility nito sa impeachment, ang sunod na po nito ay ang trial at ang decision po ng Senate Impeachment Court. Naniniwala po ba kayo na yung dalawang impeachment orders ng Senate Impeachment Court ay unconstitutional?
Okay, I don't want to complicate further the work of our prosecutorial team, no? Pero ako naniniwala in the end of it all, sisimplihan ko lang ho, sana hindi malunod sa technicality itong usapin ng impeachment. Ito po'y usapin ng accountability. Ibig sabihin po, lahat ho sana ng proseso ay nakatuon po sa katanungang kailangan bang husgahan, meron bang pananagutan ang isang opisyal na halal ayon sa ating saligang batas, ayon sa ating mga batas. Kung ang usapin lang po ng impeachment ay maiuwi kung i-dismiss dahil sa teknikalidad, hindi ho natin na-serve ang original purpose ng impeachment process, that is to exact accountability from our elected officials. It would be difficult to ascertain at the moment, and I will leave it to the luminaries to decide whether what can be considered unconstitutional, such actions may be considered unconstitutional or not. But in my mind, more than the constitutionality, it should be the morality of what we're doing that should disturb us, not only elected officials, but everyday Filipinos.
Follow-up lang po. Since unprecedented po yung impeachment orders ng Senate Impeachment Court sa House of Representatives, does it warrant your compliance?
Well, that is also the question that we want to clarify with the Senate. If you notice dun sa compliance, sa response po ng House, no, may subject to clarificatory actions, no, yung pag-comply ng House. And that is the thing that we also have to consider in this case. Kailangan ba namin mag-comply? To what extent? Sa anong pamamaraan? Yung pong katanungan. Kumbaga, Rose, pareho tayo ng tanong.
Okay po, thank you po.
Thank you po.
Thank you, Rose. Go ahead, Janes Capanti from GMA Online.
Good afternoon, sir. Former VP Lenny Robredo and now Naga City Mayor. She said during her inaugural speech that she will remove the confidential funds for LGU, Naga City LGU. Tapos, I think just this morning, a mayor from Dumanjug, Cebu, he said na he will follow the lead of the former VP. Do you think, having said that, do you think LGUs should be still allocated confidential funds for the 2025 budget, given that this fund has been subject to controversies and, massive alleged misuse due to difficulty in, limited powers of agencies to audit this kind of fund?
Ako honestly, hindi po ako, I think, no, personal ko po tong opinion, dapat hindi ho natin hinuhusgahan ang mga pondo dahil po sa mga nang-abuso dito. We have to also learn, we must also be able to ascertain the usefulness of certain mechanisms with the merits, with the good that they're able to do. And the same is case with confidential funds. May mga LGUs po na nakakatulong po ang confidential funds, especially kung may security threats po na nakaloob. At ayaw naman ho natin na gawing one size fits all lahat for all LGUs. So ano po ang pwede nating hakbang? Ang mga kinakailangan ho nating hakbang, katulad po ng mga nakaraan sa 19th Congress, paigtingin natin ang mga guidelines sa paggamit ng confidential funds. Isa po yun, pagsasaibatas nung mga joint memorandum circular na ginagamit ngayon at pagbibigay po ng mas focus na legislation doon sa mga pananagutan ng mga SDOs, pati po yung qualification nila. Doon po sa paggamit po ng fidelity bonds ng ating mga SDOs at lahat po na may custody ng confidential funds. Marami po tayong natutunan na mga gaps, regulatory gaps, practices na kailangan pong ayusin doon po sa hearing natin ng Committee on Good Governance, and Public Accountability noong nakaraang Kongreso. At yan po siguro ang kailangan nating gawin. Hindi naman ho natin pwedeng alisin totally ang confidential funds, especially in some municipalities or LGUs or even agencies of government kung saan malaking tulong din po ito para sa mga ginagawa nilang mga aktibidades related to public order and security or even like anti-insurgency measures. Pero ang mahalaga lang, inasayayos natin ang legal framework at yung paano po gagamitin. And also, to be sure na merong sapat na oversight ang COA, for example, at even po yung ibang mga agencies na may ganitong pananagutan.
Thank you, Lenesca. Haji Camino from Brigada.
Good afternoon po, Kong Jude. Nag-file po ulit yung Makabayan Block House Bill 209, if I'm not mistaken, na kung saan po yung anti-political dynasty bill ay kanila pong final. Your thoughts on this po, Kong?
Well, this is a personal position, no? I think, for me, political dynasties are not the problem but rather symptomatic of the problem we have. Ang problema ho talaga natin is political participation. Paano natin gagawin na mas maraming Pilipino pa ang pwedeng makisali sa politika ng ating bansa? At maraming factors po ang kailangan natin i-considera. For example, education, political education ng mga tao, ang willingness ng mga tao makilahok sa mga gawain. Kasi ang politika dapat hindi lang ho panahon lang naman ng eleksyon. I understand where they're coming from and I understand perfectly the merits of the proposals to ban political dynasties. But I think, rather than exclude people, mas mahalagang pagtuunan natin ng pansin ano yung mga pamamaraan para maipasok natin at magkaroon ng pagkakataong makalahok ang mga qualified na mga Pilipino na may kagustuhan, may pagnanais at kapasidad na maging lingkod bayan ng ating bansa.
Kasi parang sinasabi po nila dun sa explanatory note nila, Kong. In fact, nung 2025 midterm elections daw po, parang marami na nanalo sa election ay part ng political dynasty. Tapos number two, ang binabanggit po nila, meron naman po mga nanalo na kakaupo pa lang daw po sa pwesto. Piniprepare na po agad yung papalit sa kanila. Like for example, yung asawa or yung anak, parang pinaghahandaan na po agad.
Mahirap maging hukom, no, for the political decisions of certain individuals. In the end kasi lahat naman ng mga opisyalis ng bansa hinaharap ang mga tao, no, para ang mga botante sa tuwing kami tumatakbo for elections. My mind is just I think in many cases where political dynasty, so to speak, thrive, no, is also because there is little or there are few political opportunities for people to participate. Buksan ho natin yon. Bigyan ho natin ng pagkakataon. Kasi ang usapin ng politika, hindi lang naman ho paglahok, pagtakbo ng eleksyon. Makilahok po tayo, makialam po tayo sa mga isyong pinag-uusapan. At sa kadahilanan po yun, magkakaroon ng mas malawak na pangunawa ang ating mga kababayan sa estado ng ating politika. At I think, in my mind, that would be a more proactive manner of responding to political dynasties. Hindi naman siguro dapat, hindi naman fair ng isang politiko ay ating sasabihin ay hindi yan competent, hindi yan qualified sa kadahilanan lang kung sino ang magulang o kamag-anak nila. Dapat ang tanong natin, kaya ba niyang maglingkod? Nararapat ba siyang mahalal? At yan po ay hindi lang masasagot ng pagban ng political dynasties.
Last na lang po. So, bali parang mangyayari, dapat po ma-empower yung mga voters, yung participation po nila. So, papaanong paraan po kaya ito by, like for example, may campaign po ba dapat o meron po dapat na i-file na separate bill for
Ako personally, ang isa ng nating pwedeng gawin ay pagpapalakas talaga ng mga partido political sa bansa. If we are able to encourage political competition within parties, make sure na merong kaukulang parusa sa pagpapalit ng partido at sa pagpapalakas pa ng ating mga partido bilang vehicles for political participation, hindi hun magiging issue ang political dynasties. Kasi kahit ako po'y sabihin na lang natin, anak o pamangkin o kamag-anak ng isang nakaupong politiko, pwede pa rin kailangan ko pa rin ipakita na ako'y karapat-dapat at ako'y may kapasidad na maglingkod sa constituency na gusto kong paglingkuran.
Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Haji. Willie Delgado from DZMM.
Magandang hapon no, Kong.
Good afternoon.
Si Senator Ping Lacson nag-file ng panukala para magkaroon ng participation ng civil society sa budget deliberation. Ang isa naging concern niya kasi, sabi niya, behind closed doors daw kasi nagkakaroon ng insertion sa budget, nagkakaroon ng pork barrel. Like yung katulad nung nangyari last year sa budget deliberation, nagkaroon ng controversial, especially yung mga blank pages. Dito naman sa House, kinakampanya ni Speaker yung hashtag Open Vicam. Your thoughts pa?
Well, first of all, we're all for accountability and ako, I welcome both proposals. Una, yung panawagan ng Speaker Martin Romualdez na magkaroon ng open bicameral conference proceedings. At alam ko, si Speaker, hindi lang sa BICAM, buong proseso ng budget process ay pinag-aaralang paano pa magkakaroon ng mas malawakang paglalahok o partisipasyon ng ating mga ordinaryong Pilipino. That's one thing for sure. And I think we are all looking at how we can operationalize it at the moment. Yung panawagan naman ni Senator Ping, sa totoo lang, ako personally, hindi na kailangan siguro ng bill. Ang kailangan na lang gawin, magpasa ng resolusyon. Kasi kung bill, matagal pa. Pero kung may resolution, pwede na nating i-implement once ma-adapt ng plenaryo at hindi na ho kailangan ng approval kahit ng presidential action, no. So those are the things. I think both proposals are worth supporting, and personally I believe that we should continue to widen the space for civil society to participate not only in lawmaking but also even in the way Congress exercises or oversight functions over certain agencies.
Labas naman po tayo. Ang US Congress is proposing na magkaroon tayo dito ng production ng mga ammunitions. Halo-halo po kasi yung mga reaction ng iba't ibang mga sectors, may negative, may mga positive. Sa tingin nyo, makabubuti po kaya ito o hindi maganda para sa atin? Considering na recently lang, binomba ng Iran yung facility ng US sa Qatar, no? And in place pa rin naman yung away ng Pilipinas at China, and may iringan din yung US at yung China.
Hindi ako masyadong familiar sa conditionalities na gusto ng US Congress tungkol sa pagbubukas ng mga ammunition sa manufacturing facilities sa Pilipinas. Pero ako po'y personally naniniwala doon sa pagpapalakas ng ating defense industry. If not for export, hindi pa tayo kailangan umabot doon, even for self-sufficiency. Siguro kahit siguro sa usapin ng bala, hindi pa tayo ganoon ka self-sufficient. So malaking bagay po kung meron tayong expertise na makukuha or capacity na makukuha that would put us in a much better position in terms of defense capability, lalo-lalo sa manufacturing ng armaments. Hindi naman, sabi nga nila, hindi naman yun dahil gusto nating gamitin, pero sa kadahilan ng mas magiging matatag at panatag tayo sa usapin ng security, kung meron naman tayong kapasidad at lalong-lalo ng ating Armed Forces of the Philippines. Ang isang malaking bagay din yan, kung meron tayong mas malakas na defense industry, kung ano man ang posibleng revenues dito, I see potentially a source of revenue for the EFP modernization. Hindi naman pwedeng lahat ay galing source sa monetization ng ating mga assets, yung mga lupa. May hangganan din yon ng pwede nating maibenta. Pero malaking bagay na kung ano man magkaroon ng mga hakbang upang patatagin ang ating defense industry to generate revenues also for the modernization of the EFP. And other than that, also to be able to improve our defense capability, our self-sufficiency in terms of addressing whatever gaps we have in terms of our defense capability.
Thank you po.
Thank you, Willie. Christian Bascones of PTV4 is now recognized.
Kung balik tayo dun sa issue kanina na tinalakay, let us just have this emphasis sa sinabi niyo po na wag na naman sanang lunurin sa technicalities ang ginagawa na pag-require o second requirement ng Senate. So sa tingin niyo po ba, the gravity of what is happening right now is ito yung intention?
No, I don't want to impute anything on the Senate. No, out of courtesy for the other chamber, I'd like to take it as a sign of good faith. No, but just a reminder for everybody involved in the process that the end point of an impeachment is to exact accountability and not provide an opportunity for others to escape from it, di ba? Ang tanong dito is, may pananagutan ba? May nalabag ba? Hindi yung sino ba dapat ang magdi-dismiss ba? Paano ba ang botohan? Importante yung mga bagay na yun. Hindi ko po sinasabing hindi. Pero ang mas importante at mahalagang katanungan para sa ating mga kababayan saan napunta yung pera ng confidential funds? May kasalanan ba? Pag sinabi mo bang ipapapatay mo ang presidente, ang papapatay presidente, unang speaker at ang unang ginang, meron pang pananagutan ng isang halal na lingkod bayan. Those are the questions that should be considered. In other words, it should not stifle the need of the people to be able to know the facts of the matter. It should not stop and should not prevent and should not delay any further our need to present evidence, di ba? And for our institutions, for the Senate, for example, for the House serving as prosecutors, to make their case, and for the defense even, no? to show. Kaya nga sabi namin, edi kung may ebidensya, convict. Pag wala, acquit. Let the process go on.
Okay. Dito naman po tayo, Congressman. Before you have said na yung withdrawal ng Pilipinas sa ICC ay isang pamamaraan to avoid accountability. Now, given the recent Octa Research Survey showing that a majority of Filipinos support the Philippines rejoining the International Criminal Court, how do you believe this public sentiment should influence Congress positions on this matter?
Well, in the end, no, I think the people, ang mga kababayan natin yun, and the results of the election would show, there's already a change in mindset. People are already seeing the importance of accountability. Maybe our friends, our work in the 19th Congress had its own role of telling the people that in the end, the power of the people are more powerful than those in power, di ba? And I think it's a wake-up call for everyone. And even with this, with the ICC issue, sabi nga namin, it shouldn't be just about one person. Hindi dapat ang usapin ito tungkol kay Rodrigo Duterte lamang. Pero ito talaga ay para magkaroon ng karapatang at sapat na nararapat na safeguards ang ating bansa, ang ating estado, ang ating mga kababayan, sakasakaling may mga pagkakataong katulad nito.
Maraming salamat.
Thank you, Christian. Melanie Reyes from Radyo Pilipinas.
Hi, Kong. Hingan ko lang po kayo ng comment. Sabi po ng National Hog Farmers, posibleng tumaas ang presyo ng pork meat sa Region 8 pending the repair of San Juanico Bridge. Sabi nila baka mapuwersa silang ipasa ang 4 to 6 pesos na dagdag presyo kada kilo na karning baboy. Paano po tayo makakatulong, sir?
Well, even before that became an issue, no, pinag-isipan na ho natin yan. Kaya ho kasama ng Office of Civil Defense, meron ho tayong isang biyahe ng libre sakay kung saan ang essential goods katulad ng pagkain, livestock at iba pa ay pwede pong maitawid na walang additional cost. At yan po ay ginagawa po natin to provide a certain degree of stability sa mga presyo. Kaya po ang panawagan natin sa lahat ng involved, no, magkatulungan na lang ho tayo. Marami pa ho mga pamamaraan, binadagdagan ho natin ng biyahe, sinusubukan ho natin madagdagan yung mga biyahe ng mga barge, no, para makatawid at kahit ho yung libreng sakay natin. Marami pong avenues para magkatulungan. Wag ho sana yung una nating solusyon ay magtaas ng presyo o magpasa ng taas ng presyo. Kasi ginagawa naman ho talaga ng pamahalaan at ng iba pang mga ahensya kung ano man ang makakaya para ma-stabilize natin ang presyo ng mga pangunahing pangangailangan, lalong-lalo na ng pagkain.
Sir, follow up, matutuloy po ba na masisimulan na yung rehabilitation ngayong July? Na-download na po ba yung funds na kinakailangan?
Well, at the moment, I'm not so privy pa, no, to the details as to na-download na ba. But we have the full assurance of the President, especially na nag-declare na ng state of calamity, state of emergency, tungkol po sa posibleng epekto ng pag-restrictions ng San Juanico Bridge. And kailangan ho nating, sinabi na ni Presidente, pag December, hindi pa naitaas to 12 tons yung load capacity ng live load capacity ng San Juanico Bridge, ay may mga mawawala ng trabaho. It only shows the seriousness of the President, and we have no reason to not to trust the President on this matter.
Thank you, sir. Thank you po.
Thank you, Melanie. Last questions from Red Mendoza of Manila Times.
Hi po, Kong. Good afternoon. Add ko lang po doon sa tanong ni Ate Lani kasi I talked to our Tacloban correspondent, si Moises Cruz, and sabi niya na wala pa rin daw nangyayaring construction doon sa San Juanico Bridge. So, paano natin mariresolve yun? Kasi di ba nga may deadline na December si Mr. President. Paano natin maayos yung...
Hindi naman ibig sabihin na walang nangyaring construction, walang ginagawang mga hakbang. Meron ho tayong procurement processes na nasimulan na. Alam ko ho, kasi nakakatanggap po tayo ng updates, may regular na ho na assessment doon mismo sa mga piers, sa ilalim ng tulay. Marami na hong nagagawa. Remember, this is not an ordinary bridge we're talking about. Even the amount of preparation needed to ensure its rehabilitation would require some time, di ba? Hindi naman to 300-meter na bridge. Oo nga, 2 kilometers sobra lang to. Pero that again by itself, yung lalim na nasa nung dinadaan ng strait, no? So ako, I'd like to assure everyone that based on the updates that we're receiving from DPWH and the other concerned agencies, nakatuon naman ang lahat. Kasi kami din mismo, hindi rin namin papayagan na ma-delay pa further yung construction o yung rehabilitation ng San Juanico Bridge natin ngayon.
Okay, another question po. Yung tungkol po doon sa doon sa mga bills, ano po yung mga first bills na final po ng Tingog Party List, and how different are these bills na na final ng Tingog Party List ng first day ng Congress as opposed doon sa mga final ng ibang mga lawmakers po?
Well, tayo, no, ang perspektibo natin, kasama po si Congressman Martin Romualdez at yung mga iba nating kasamahan sa Tingog Party List, siguraduhin na ang mga batas na ating isusulong, lalong-lalo na yung unang 20 batas na ating na-file na, ay tutugon talaga sa mga pangailangan ng mga ordinaryong Pilipino. Ika nga, concerns from the house to their homes. So yun yung gusto natin. Like for example, ang ating House Bill number 1, itungkol sa rice. Bale, dalawang aspeto po yun. Yung pag-stabilize ng presyo at pag-stabilize ng supply. Pag-guarantee ng supply. Bale, pagbabalik po ng kakayahan para sa NFA na mag-angkat ng bigas kung kinakailangan. At the same time, to also exact accountability for those who would hoard or those who would manipulate prices with the rice prices. So, lahat po yun, nire-restore po natin kasi na-amend po yun dun sa rice tarification law. Nandyan po din ang pag-a-adjust nung yung FILET amendments to Universal Health Care Law, House Bill number 2 or number 3 ba? Medyo nalilito lang ako sa numbers, pero malaking bagay doon. Una, yung hayaan ng mag-adjust ang ating mga premiums, no, based doon sa hindi lang sa projected cost of healthcare but also with other socio-economic factors, depende po sa estado ng ekonomiya, but all subject to Congress. Meron doon, siguro matutuwa ang maraming Pilipino, isang provision na hindi na pwedeng isauli lahat ng pondo na natanggap sa PhilHealth ay hindi na pwedeng ibalik sa general fund. So kung anumang agam-agam ang meron tayo tungkol sa pera ng PhilHealth, ito'y binibigyan natin ng ngipin. So meron pang ibang mga batas, lalo yung last mile schools, yung Center for Disease Control, yung National Infrastructure Framework. Lahat po to ay nakatuon sa pagbibigay kumbaga pagbibigay suporta at pagpapalakas pa, pagpapatatag pa ng mga solusyon na tutugon sa pangangailangan ng ordinaryong Pilipino mula pagkain, edukasyon, hanap buhay, at maging sa lokal na development.
Last na lang po. Of course, usaping impeachment. In the hypothetical na, kunyari, makonvict man si Vice President Sara Duterte, kasi nakasaad po sa Constitution na ang pipili po, the President can choose within the members of the House of Representatives or the Senate ng magiging kapalit niya na Vice President. Kayo po, in your opinion, do you think po ba Congressman Martin Romualdez can be a best Vice President for BBM?
Alam niyo, mahirap mag-comment sa bagay na wala pa eh. Impeach muna natin, tapos sasagutin ko yan pagkatapos.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Rosalicas, please proceed.
Sorry, ongoing kasi yung press con po ng impeachment spokesperson right now. And isa po sa binabanggit niya, kaya po nag-release ng impeachment orders ang Senate Impeachment Court address sa House of Representatives para po yung pong mga legal impediments maiwasan na pagka nagsimula na mismo yung trial. Your reaction to this po?
Well, to be honest, if it did not, ganito po yun. For me, those are questions also that could form part of the defense and would be better be discussed during the course of the trial instead of having to have prevented the course of the trial.
So sa tingin sir, questionable yung questionable yung kanilang purpose doon po sa
But with all due
pagiging-
respect to the Senate, I think they're coming from something and they want to get that out of their way. But our position, my personal perspective, no, I'm not speaking for the House in this case. I think these are matters that would have been already discussed in the course of the defense of the trial. So it shouldn't be the Senate pointing them out. It should have been the defense lawyers pointing them out. Kasi if you look at the defense, what the defense submitted to the Supreme Court for clarifications are basically the same things that were being pushed for, or the controversies that being given consideration by the Senate. Not necessarily doubtful, but I think lang the trial should have proceeded first, so that both sides would have been heard before you can actually resolve these issues.
yung action na yun naging mas paborable sa defense.
In my opinion, yes. No, I stand by the integrity of our institution as a as an elected official. I have full faith in the process and full faith in and I have full faith that the Senate will exercise its mandate with independence and integrity.
Follow up, kung it favored the defense, anong damage sa House and the prosecution panel?
I don't think there's any damage to the position of the prosecutors. What it has damaged is the opportunity for the people to hear the case and for themselves to determine the facts of the matter. Remember, while this is a constitutional process, as they always say, it's a political one, and the understanding of the people would always play a factor in the final outcome of what will be tried in the Senate.
May mga nag-call out na rin po sa impeachment court na saying nag-aabogado po ang impeachment court para kay VP Sara Duterte. Your comment on that and mensahe po sa kanila.
Well, yun nga ho ang iniiwasan natin kasi nagmumukhang nag-aabogado. Pero alam natin kung meron mang pananagutan, kung meron mang perspektibo o meron mang concern ang Senado, it could have been raised better in the course of the trial, di ba? That would have been the proper context for them to be able to raise their concerns and their objections, especially if these issues would have rather been left for the defense to point out. Kasi that would have afforded also the House to present. Now, no damage is being done to the prosecutorial panel kasi hindi pa naman sila nagre-present ng position ng prosecutors. But in the end, yung taong bayan ang nadedehado dito sa usapin ito. Kasi dapat alam na ng taong bayan to eh. Alam na natin, nag-proceed na sana tayo doon sa mga katanungan na sabi ko kanina kung anong katotohanan tungkol sa paggamit ng confidential funds at iba pang paratang sa articles of impeachment.
Okay, Big Simintak from Net25.
Just a follow-up, Kong Asidre. With the actuation of the Senate as impeachment court, na parang nag-aabogado sila kay VP Sara, and the prosecution, and kumbaga, umaasa pa rin tayo na ibabatay nila doon sa bigat ng ebidensya ang magiging hatol nila as senator judges. Pero with that actuation, hindi ba nangangamba ang House, particularly the prosecution panel, na wala silang aasahan na kumbaga dadaan sa because this is a political political proceedings, not purely criminal proceedings.
As I said kanina, I cannot speak for the prosecutorial panel, no, kasi they will have to address the issues from as not only as members of the House but also as officers of the court, no. So I with all due respect to them, I would decline to provide any answer on their behalf. Pero ako personally, ito lang po ang masasabi ko. Mas maganda sana kung ang mga usaping ito tinatalakay in the course of the trial rather than before it. Kasi magbibigay po ng karapatang konteksto bakit po kailangan mag-proceed o bakit po ano po ang bigat ng mga ebidensya. Kasi kaya kahon ng sinabi ko kanina, the case of the House remains strong, regardless of what the Senate would do. But in the end, ang nadehado lang ang taong bayan kasi sa panahon ito, dapat ang mga katanungan na nating sinasagot, hindi lang tungkol kung should it proceed or not, kung sino magsusunod or sino ang magdidesisyon, kung ano mang desisyon o magbobotohan ba. Pero ang katanungan na mas mahalaga, anong nangyari sa confidential funds? May karapatang parusa ba ang pagsabing ipapapatay bang presidente unang ginanang speaker? Those are for me, the far more important questions that the people deserve to know.
Thank you, Vic. We shall now hear the closing statement of Congressman Asidre.
Magandang hapon once again. Salamat sa mga katanungan ninyo. Ito yung unang press con ng 20th Congress, and I look forward to an even more fruitful and meaningful engagement with our friends in the media, and looking forward also kasi pag may press con, hindi lang naman kayo ang nagtatanong, kami din natututunan namin kung anong mga katanungan ng mga taong bayan at napapakinggan namin to at nagbibigyan po kami ng pagkakataon mas linawin pa ang aming paninindigan sa mga isyong ito at anong mga hakbang ang tatahakin ng inyong Kongreso, lalong-lalo na in the 20th Congress. So,